Well, hello. Welcome to another week of the Bad Website Club Web Development Bootcamp. This is all free. This is all recorded. If you're tuning in for the first time, hi, my name's Ramon. My friend Jess and I are running this series of free bootcamps to get these HTML and CSS certifications. That's what we're doing today. And then starting next week, we'll be doing the JavaScript bootcamp, which is really exciting. Yeah, this is the final week of the web development bootcamp, which is kind of incredible. Like the time just flew by. It's been so good to be doing this with all of you. Let me drop in a few links so we can get started. If you want to find out all the information about schedule and that sort of thing, go to badwebsite.club. Here's the link. So badwebsite.club. There you'll find all the info for the web development bootcamp as well as the JavaScript one. There you'll also find information for getting to the Discord channel if this is something you want to participate in. Of course, feel free. This is the link here. Just dropping that into the chat. Amazing. Hi, Sean. Good to see you. Love it when folks say hello. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. We've been covering so much stuff. I'm astounded with our progress. If you're falling a little bit behind too, don't worry. Like this is meant to be self-paced. Yeah, couple things before we get started. So if you want to catch up on the videos, you can go to youtube.com/at Bad Website Club, and there you'll find all of the recordings. By attending this bootcamp, you are agreeing to uphold our code of conduct. That's bit.ly/BWC-COC. If you see anything out of sorts, please let myself or Jess know. Okay. Hello, Eric. Yeah, let's hop in, shall we? Today we'll be doing the CSS animation lesson by building a Ferris wheel. I'm very excited about this. We've been talking a lot about animations, and now is going to be the time when we actually go out and do them. Just going to make my window just a bit bigger so we have a bit more space to work with. Hope this size is okay. Please let me know if anything is not working. Yeah, we're going to be doing animations stuff. Oh, hello. Eric, you've received, oops, good morning, Mr. Grubworm. I meant to click on this one too, but it's always good to talk to you. I just received my responsive web development certificate. Congratulations. Great to see you all. Okay, let's start up. Like, I'm just going to show you what we're going to be building today. So this is what we're going to be building. And I do warn you, it's going to involve a little bit of animation. So I won't keep this up for too long. But ideally, yes, we're going to be having this Ferris wheel with some rotating squares in it, and they're changing color. I'm very excited about this. But in the spirit of being mean, I've actually skipped ahead a couple of steps because I think the boilerplate steps are stuff that y'all can do already without me. So we're going to be starting from step 3 today. We're going to go as far as we can, and the rest we'll leave for homework for the next day. So there's the link. Step 3. Now, before I do any reading of what we'll be doing, let me take a look at the HTML that we've built up already, because we're in styles.css right now, and we've got some instructions. Line 1 is here, which means there's no CSS yet. Let's take a look at the HTML real quick, because I do think it's important. So we've got our doc type, our HTML tag, our head tag, which is made up of 3 tags. We've got our char set. The title is Ferris wheel, and we've linked to the CSS file. Now, in our body, we've got a lot more going on. So we've got one div. Remember, the div is just a conceptual rectangle. That div has a class of wheel, and that wheel is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spans with the class line, and then there's 6 divs with the class cabin. Good evening, Mehmet. Yeah. So we got a wheel with 6 lines and 6 cabins. Cool. We don't see any of them yet, of course, because they don't have any styles or content. So we'll be doing that. So hopping back to CSS, we will create a selector for our wheel, and we'll set the border to be 2 pixels solid black, and the border radius will be 50%. And, oh, look, it's already showing up. And the margin left will be 50 pixels. So it'll be 50 pixels off from the left. There we go. Cool. We've already made a ton of progress. Cesium, good to see you. I love animation as well. Cool. And that's the first step done. All right. Next up, we're going to be doing position absolute. And remember, position absolute anchors it relative to either the nearest ancestor with a position that is not that is relative or absolute. What was the default one? Oh, friends, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Let me look that up real quick. So we want to find out position static. Yes. So absolute will position it relative to the nearest ancestor that is not static or the root of the page. Just dropping that in here for reference. Cool. So we'll make it absolute and we'll make the width and height to be 55 VW. Now, height will be 55 VW. Can anybody remind me what VW stands for? Ooh, it's a lovely circle. So, absolute. Let's see what happens if we remove that. Oh, actually, I haven't put in the absolute yet. Position absolute. Ah, everybody coming in. View per width says Tessa. View per width says Mr. Grubworm. That is absolutely correct. Thank you both. You might be wondering, hold on, we're setting the height to be relative to the width. Well, let's see what happens if we make this viewport height. Well, it's a little longer. Fahad, VW for view height. No, width, not height. So we want it to be a circle, so we can set the width, the height to be 55 of the viewport width. That way, by having both be the same, we're guaranteeing that this will be a perfect circle. Let's check our code. Looks good. Let's keep going. So we'll give it a max height and a max width of 500 pixels. Height of 500 pixels and a max width of 500 pixels. Not much has changed here, but if I make this wider, you're going to see it's going to reach a point when it's 500 pixels and it's like, nah, that's as big as I get. Wait, how much is 500 pixels? I guess 500 pixels is a lot. Oh, there, it stopped growing. Check it out. Yeah, and then as I get here, it'll start shrinking again. Cool. Looks good. This is stuff we've done before, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker till we get to the animation stuff. Now we'll do a selector for our lines. And these will have a background color of black. We don't see them yet because they still need content or size. The width shall be 50%, not dollars. Still don't see it. And the height, here we go, is going to be 2 pixels. Check it out. Where is it? Where's our lines? Background color is black. Width is 50%. Height is 2 pixels. Is it just very small? Now hold on just a minute. Dot line, background color. Width is 50%. Height is 20 pixels. 200 pixels. Huh? Pixels? Oh, Mr. Grubworm's got it right. I think it's behind the wheel. That makes sense. Makes sense. How would we know it's Z index? I always get Z index wrong. Nah, you know what? I'm not going to even try. I bet we're going to find out why. So that's 2 pixels. It does work. Oh, that's why. Silly me. Position needs to be absolute. There it is. Thank you, Mitch. Only elements with a position that isn't static can be given a Z index. You're absolutely right. I always forget that. But as you can see, it's okay to forget. Left is 50% and top is 50%. There we go. That looks much better. But that's all 6 lines, mind you. Oh, you're good, Mitch. Thank you. Let's keep going. Now we're going to be using transform origin to apply a different way of displaying our div, so our rectangles. So in this case, for example, we're going to be doing a rotate in order to rotate it by a certain amount, So let's give that a, okay. So if we give this a transform origin of 0%, 0%, this will offset the origin point by 0% from the left and 0% from the top, setting it to be, the left corner of the element. We're going to come back to this. Here we're saying that this center here, is going to be the top left corner of our line. And you'll see why this matters in just a moment. So this is the origin from which we'll transform. Yes, cool. You'll see. So we're going to transform rotate by 60 degrees. Wait. Oh, create a selector to target your second line element. Remember that the transform property allows you to manipulate the shape of an element. In this case, why would I want to? Guess I need to target a line again? Okay. So we'll make it transform rotate 60 degrees. Okay. Nevertheless, we'll figure this out in a second. We've rotated the line by 60 degrees. But notice what happens if I don't set that origin, pardon me. It rotated along the center of the line. I think it'll be better visible if I make it 45 degrees. Yeah? So if I bring back that transform origin of 0%, 0%. Now it's rotating along this point. But if I leave it as the center, it looks like it moves up, but what's actually happening is that it's rotating from the center. This rotates it from the bottom. Let's check our code. Oh, and people are telling me very correctly, hold on, you want to be targeting the second line. Mike's here says, does that need an nth child to target a specific child? And you're absolutely right. Both of you, thank you so much. So we need to target nth of type 2. So we have 5 lines here, and the second line is rotated by not 45, but 60 degrees. I can even change its color, red, to make it clear here that this line's different. Notice what happens when I remove the rotation. It looks like the line has disappeared, but actually, the red line is here. It's just under the 4 other lines on top of it. There we go. Let's remove that background color. Background color debugging is great. Ooh. Let's look at this tip by Stephen B. On a Mac, Command-Shift-4 is portion screen capture, and the tool measures in pixels how wide or high something is for you. Then you hit Escape to cancel the screen capture. That is extremely helpful. Thank you, Stephen. And as you correctly said, it wants me to use nth of type. Thank you all. Let's look. Yeah, looks good. Cool. Let's keep going. Oh no, your video is lagging. I'm so sorry, Stephen. Okay, so now we're going to do the same for the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth lines. So third will rotate 120, fourth will rotate 180, fifth will rotate 240, and the sixth one will rotate 300 degrees. So line, colon, nth of type, and that'll be the third one, will transform, rotate by 120 degrees. So there's a third line. Now, y'all know I'm lazy. Let's copy and paste. So for the fourth line, I want to rotate by 180 degrees. Is that correct? Yeah. Then we've got 240 and then 300. So the fifth line will rotate 240, and the sixth line will rotate by 300. Cool. And now, as Cesium very correctly said, we have made a pie. It looks lovely. Do y'all know what I want to do? Let's go back and remove that origin again. Notice what happened. Now we're rotating along the center of each line. Now you might be thinking, hold on, why is it all smaller? Well, it's not really. The lines are on top of each other now. So remember, this one rotated. So line two rotated 60 degrees, but line 4, is it 4? I think it's 4. Rotated, no, at line 5 rotated 240 degrees, which is the same direction. So there's two lines on top of each other here. Same for here and same for here. Cool. Let's keep going. Looks good. Whew. All right, now we're going to make a cabin. So we're going to set the background color to red, the width to 20%, and the height is 20% as well. I was about to say we shouldn't see it yet, but as always, I am very wrong. So remember, the cabin is inside of the wheel. Let's make the wheel background. I just want to see the wheel real quick. Background color, blue. So there's our wheel. So how come the cabin is supposed to be 20% of its parent, which is the wheel, right? But it's kind of going outside, and it's also super tall. That is not 20%, you might say. That's absolutely true, but notice what happens when I make the position absolute. Now it's anchored to its nearest position ancestor. So that's the difference of that positioning. Cool. Let's keep going. There it is. There's our position absolute and a border of 2 pixels solid. Nice. Notice we didn't specify black. It looks like that's a default. Cool. So, as you know, this bootcamp is free, but Free Code Camp also provides their stuff for free. They depend on donations, so only if you can. Don't feel pressured if you don't feel pressured. You can donate a couple of dollars. I do so, for example, on my learning account. There's more of a teaching account, so I'll click on Ask Me Later. Okay, so now we're going to set the transform origin of our cabin. And you know how we're going to test it, right? So transform origin is going to be 50% from the left. So, and 0% from the top. So 50% from the left, 0% from the top. in the middle of the top edge of the element. So now the transform origin is here. Let's keep going. I'm curious to see how this looks. And now we're going to we're going to position each of the cabins. So we'll start with the first one, which is cabin pseudo selector nth of type. Oh, Stephen, thank you so much. In the first case, there were 6 cabins being rendered on top of each other, weren't there? That is correct. Oh, that makes much more sense. Yes, there were. Let's go back. Sorry. I want to test that theory. It's not that they weren't positioned absolute. Stephen, thank you. Of course, they were one on top of each other because they weren't positioned. That makes a lot more sense. So, nth of type 1. We're going to start with the first one. So we're going to set the right property to be negative 8 point, this is very precise, percent. It's going to be negative 8.5% from the top, from the right. That is moved a little bit further to the right. And the top property is going to be 50%. Cool. So it's halfway down. Looks good. I'm going to copy paste this because I'm lazy. So now we're going to do the rest of the cabins. And it looks like we've got a lot of text here. So I'm just going to laser focus on this. Second cabin should be 17% from the right and 93% from the top. So nth of type 2, and I already forgot the numbers. 17% from the top and 93.5% from the bottom. Cool. Now let's do the third one. Third cabin should be 67 and 93. 60 and 93. There we go. Fourth one is negative 8.5 from the left, and the top is 50%. Wait, wrong one. Third. There we go. My bad. Now we do the fourth one. That's the dangers of copy pasting, by the way. And the top is 50%. That looks good. Fifth one should be 17 and 7. Let me copy paste this again. So 17% and 7%. And the last one is 17 from the right and 7% from the top. Six. So it's 17% from the right and 7% from the top. Phew. Okay. I got one wrong. Nth of type 3 selector should have a top property of 93.5%, and I have it at 93%. 0.5. Please. My goodness. Look at me making mistakes. There we go. Looks lovely. We'll keep going. Now we're going to use this keyframes rule to define the flow of a CSS animation. So we can create selectors for specific points in the animation, or use from and to define the start and end of a sequence. We'll be giving our keyframes a name to define the flow of our animation. So we're going to define our first one. And we're going to call it wheel. So in here, we're going to set the flow of our animation. And we'll see what that means in just a second. So in order to define how this will look, we can set at which percentage through the animation. So how far into the animation should a property be? So for example, here at 12%, whatever's being animated with this free code camp animation keyframe will at 12% of the way turn green. So we'll create a 0% keyframe for our Ferris wheel. Nothing in there yet. I bet we're going to set something now. So at 0%, we will rotate, we'll set transform to be rotate at 0 degrees. Nothing has happened yet, by the way, because we haven't actually used this keyframe animation yet. We're just defining it. We're saying, hey, this animation keyframe exists. Looks good. So at 0%, our wheel will be at 0 degrees. So far, so good. At 100%, we will set the transform to be 360 degrees. So when we animate something with this wheel animation, at the beginning, it'll be at 0 degrees. And between that and 100%, it'll rotate all the way to 360 degrees, which is a full rotation. Then it'll start, it could, and depending on how we tell it to, it could start over, and then it'll be at 0 degrees again, which is the same as 360. So what we're saying with this wheel is, hey, rotate. That's pretty much it. Hey, I want you to just rotate. I love what Cesium says here. You can treat the percent number as if it's a CSS selector. Very well put. Thank you. Cool. Let's keep going. So next, we're going to actually apply this animation. We're going to be doing that using the animation name property on our wheel. I'm going to use the wheel animation. Let me try it out real quick. So animation name set to wheel. Let's see what happens. So nothing happens yet because we still need an animation duration. How long the animation should sequence to complete. So for example, we can set our animation duration to be 10 seconds. See what happens now. I didn't actually time it. Okay, so in 10 seconds, let me make it 5. Let's make it 2 seconds to be faster. Okay, that's a bit too fast. Let's go 5 seconds. So in 5 seconds, it rotated from being at 0 degrees to 360 degrees. But there's something else. Notice how it started kind of slow, went faster, and then slowed down again. I don't know the name of it yet, but this is the kind of animation. I think this is called ease in and ease out. So it'll start easy, go faster, and then ease out again. And we have control over these flows. But okay, so we can make our wheel rotate in 10 seconds. Cool. Does that work? Looks good. Let's keep going. And here we go. The animation timing function is how this progresses over time. This is that sort of ease in and ease out that I was talking about before. So we're going to be setting animation timing function to be linear, which means that rotation, notice how it's different now. It's just the speed is constant. Let's look up animation timing function to see what other functions there are. Because I want to play around with them. And I'm always curious. That's not a lot of space to work with. Can I zoom out just a touch? So we've got linear, which we've seen before. This is the ease in and ease out that I was talking about before. Let's see steps. Uh-huh. And we've got, oh my goodness, complicated math. Oh, oh. Most of the time you're going to be using either linear or ease in, ease out. I wonder if there's more. Oh, there's a bunch. Ease in, ease out, ease in and out, step start, step end, functions. You can do what? No, no. Well, we'll leave it as such with linear. That's good to know. Oh, here, let me send you all a link. I find it really helpful to mess around with these values. So I did not read all of the instructions. Our Ferris wheel should never stop rotating. So we'll set the iteration count to infinite using this animation iteration count property. It's kind of hard to work with, not a lot of space here. So animation iteration count. So by default, we're doing one animation, right? But if I wanted to do two, for example, check it out. Okay. That's one rotation. Maybe I should have set this to be faster, huh? And two. So it did two rotations. But of course, we want it to never stop, so we're going to make it infinite. Now it'll never stop rotating. Let me just double check that. Yep, there we go. Rotating forever. There we go. So now we're going to create an animation for our cabins as well. So keyframes, we're going to call this cabins. It doesn't have to share the name with the class that it's doing it to, by the way. This is a coincidence. And in fact, in my opinion, a better name for an animation would describe what it does. So for example, I'd call this spin or something. But that's just an opinion thing. Notice this one's called cabins. So we'll do the 0% and the 100% rules. But, oh, we'll copy the 0% rule from here. So that'll be transform rotate 0 degrees. And then our transform on the 100% selector will be transform rotate negative 360 degrees. I'm curious what that'll do. Another thing to bear in mind is that, hold on a second. Oh, I know what it's going to do. Now it's going from a positive to a negative number, which means the wheels are going to rotate in the opposite direction. Ooh, okay. Also, y'all might be wondering, hold on, you just defined this animation, but nothing's happening. Why? That's because we've just defined this animation keyframe set, but we still haven't applied it. So that's what we're going to do next, I'll bet. This works. Let's keep going. Actually, before we do any of this, I want to try that new animation. Yeah. Instead of wheel, I'm going to use cabins here. Let's see what happens. Check it out. So now it's rotating from 0 to negative 360 degrees, which means it's going to be rotating counterclockwise. So I'll restore that. Now it's going to rotate the way it was meant to. It's good to see that difference. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got distracted. So we're going to be setting the, let's see, the animation name, the animation function, the animation iteration count, and the animation duration. However, this can be compressed into one property called animation. So this is a shortcut. So with animation, you can state the name, so cabins. You can, not sure what happened there. Then we can make the duration be 10 seconds. We can set it to be linear, and we can set it to be infinite, all in one line. That looks very cool. So notice that because the cabins are rotating uh, counterclockwise as the wheel is rotating clockwise, it looks like the wheels are standing still, but they're actually rotating at the same time. I'll show you a proof of this. If I make them rotate in 5 seconds, you see that they're rotating. This is an optical illusion. Oh, that is very cool. So the cubes are rotating. They're just doing so at the same time as the wheel, so it kind of looks like they're not rotating. Let's check our code. Cool. Let's keep going. So, now we're going to make it ease in and ease out. The setting will tell the animation to start and end at a slower pace, but move more quickly in the middle of the cycle. Okay. Oh, this will be the cabins. Okay. Ease in, out. Did I do that right? Ease in, out. Oh, hold on. Wrong. I did the wrong thing. It wasn't cabins. It was linear. Oh. Oh, cool. So it kind of looks like they're swinging now. I would get very motion sick. Let's keep going. Awesome. So this keyframes rules does allow us to control more than just the transform. We can also do things like mess around with the color. So for example, what we're going to do here is set the background color to yellow. Of course, oh, so we're at 100%, and then it switches back to yellow. So it goes from yellow to not yellow, and then back at 0%, it switches back to yellow. By the way, it's not just color. Watch this. You can mess around with a lot of properties here. I don't know why you would want to mess around with it. Actually, let me put width 100 pixels here just for chaos. Let's see what happens. So there's lots of different properties you can animate. I don't recommend it because it doesn't look like a Ferris wheel anymore. This Ferris wheel looks danger death. It does, yeah. Cool. And I bet, yeah, here we go. Background color will be set to purple. So now it's going to animate between yellow and go all the way to purple. And then back to purple, back to yellow. Oh, sorry. I misread the instructions. I'm supposed to, at 50%, set the background color to purple. Now, notice what happens. Despite my not setting a transform, it continued rotating. So it's going to rotate from 0 to negative 360 regardless. But now it's going yellow, purple, red, and now it's going to back to purple. Which is good, but let's keep going. I don't like that sudden change in color. So because the animation is on an infinite loop and the start and end colors are not the same, the transition appears jerky. It just like all of a sudden changes. So we're going to remove the background color from my 0% selector. Now let's see what happens. It goes from red to purple. And it's going to go back to red. So now we're at 0. And we're back to purple. I wonder, can I do this? Can I display a 0? No, I guess you can't animate content. No, what am I saying? This is silly. Why am I trying? Yeah, no, never mind. I'm just making mistakes all over the place. Cool. So red to purple to red. I am truly hypnotized now. It is kind of hypnotizing, isn't it? Cool. That looks good. Now we're going to create a 25% selector between our 0 and 50%. Oh, by the way, does the order matter? I don't know. Let's find out. We'll find that out in a second. Background, color, yellow. So now it's going red, yellow, purple, and then it'll slowly go back to red. Then red to yellow to purple. Cesium's got it right. Is a content property only supported in before and after pseudo elements? Let's find out. Take a brief detour here. It can be used to define what is rendered inside a element or pseudo element. There you go. Thank you, Cesium. Oh yeah, let's find out. So what if I do them out of order? Oops, where'd my, come back and paste. So yellow to purple, red to yellow to purple. So the order doesn't matter because you're defining, hey, at 0% do this, at 25% do this, 50 and 100. It is a good idea to keep them in order just so that you don't get lost when you're coding a lot of these. That works. Let's keep going. And we will, oh, okay. So we'll add a 75% selector that will set the background color to yellow. I might actually copy and paste. So red, yellow, purple, yellow, and then back to red. Back to yellow. We're at 25%. We're at 50%. We're at 75%. Now we're at 0%. And that's how we can animate our background colors. Wait, we finished? Oh, wait, really? We're done? Oh gosh, friends, I was having so much fun that I got distracted and finished the lesson for us. Well, good news, there's no homework. Amazing. There you go. I guess I finished that a little bit earlier. But that's okay. Tomorrow we'll be doing the penguin, which is a lot more steps, and we will definitely not finish tomorrow. So homework, I guess today is to take it as easy as possible. Do we have any questions before I let us go? While we do that, let's look at other animations that we can do because we don't only have to do. Oh, Sean's like, thanks for doing our homework. I really didn't intend to. Mitch says, something I noticed that when we entered the transform origin of the cabins, it had no effect. If you remove it, it has no effect on the animation. Let's go back. So you're saying is that when we enter the transform origin of the cabins, it had no effect. Here. I mean, we have it here, right? So if I remove them, if I remove that origin, notice how they're rotating now. It might be easier. It might be easier if I make the rotation a bit faster. Notice they're rotating along their center. See? But if I restore the origin, let me restore that 5 seconds as well. Look, now they're rotating along the top. See? I don't know if you can follow my mouse, but like they're rotating along this part here. Let's mess around with it. Let's make it 25%. They're going to rotate real weird now because they're now they're rotating along this part here. 25%, 25%. Now it's going to rotate like here somewhere. Yeah, it's a little gnarly. It is subtle, as Cesium puts it, but yeah, it does change it. But great catch. Did I want to look at animations? Animation. Yeah. I do want to mess around with this a little bit. Tell you what, let's make a code pen real quick. Because you don't just need keyframes. Let me make a simple HTML here. Let's have an H1. I'm telling you all this is going to be super simple. An H1 that says hello world. Cool. Let's make our H1 have a font size of 6 EMs, 6 REMs. Nice and big. We'll do a color of red. And Sesam's asking the question, what are some practical use cases for CSS animation in your experience? I'm glad you asked. So, for example, this is one that I use. This is one that I do a lot. H1 hover. I can set the color to be blue. And I'll set the font size to be twice as big. Bear with me. If I hover over my H1, you'll see it does the thing. But if I set the animation to be 2 seconds linear, 2 seconds linear. Watch what happens now. When I hover, wait. What, how does it go again? 3 seconds ease in, 1 second. Well, I want something simple. One second, 2 seconds linear. Am I missing something? 1? I skipped duration. Isn't this the duration? 2 seconds? Hold on a sec. Delay? I don't want to delay. Slide in. I'll try slide in. No, something's not right. Sorry, folks. Give me a minute. I'm just messing around here. Is it? Mr. Grubworm's asking, do you need a keyframe rule? And that's what I was hoping to show that we don't. 3 seconds. 1 second. Let me try something else. 1 second. Weird. Hold on. How do I do this again? Because I know it's possible. Y'all, I'm silly. It's not animation, it's transition. This is another way. I'm sorry, everyone. Let me look up transition real quick. This is another way of doing animation. So, this is a way to do animations on specific rules. By default, it'll be all of them. I use this, for example, to animate my buttons to, for example, change background color, grow in size. Now you might be wondering, okay, but what happens when I let go, when I stop hovering? That's okay. That's what transition is for. Now watch what happens. In, out. In. What's going on here? My mouse is ever so slightly out of the range. So I'm just going to go back in. It's not the best example, but it proves the point. So Mr. Grebel was saying, what if you want it to happen without hovering? Fantastic. That's what animation is for. Then we would need keyframes and that sort of thing. But if I wanted, for example, a transition for a specific effect, or if, say, something happened here with JavaScript that added a class, then it would do that effect as well. I'm not going to write any JavaScript because that's going to be for next week to us to worry about. But yeah, we can use transitions as well. And I believe we're going to be doing them tomorrow. I could be wrong. But those are good to know as well. Let me drop a link in there. Well, I would say if there are no other questions, we can go about our lovely days for today. Tomorrow we'll be back to do the penguin. We're going to be doing CSS transforms, and we're going to be doing a little bit of animation. It's going to be fun. As always, if you've got any questions, also you can also come to the Discord. Let me drop a link for that again. And also, don't forget, there's places for feedback. There's places for asking questions. Please bring your questions. Please bring your answers. It's one of the best ways to learn. There's a link to the Discord. And remember, all of this is recorded, so if you need to come back later, you totally can. All right, so homework for today is to take it easy. All right, friends. Season's going to share in Discord an old project that they tried learning animations for. Cool. Thank you. Until then, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.